Auraria Campus Police call in backups from other departments after they lost the confidence of Denver police in how they're handling the protest camp on the Quad. Denver's sweeping migrants from one spot to another, convincing some that they're better off taking the city's offer of a group shelter. A last-minute property tax deal at the Capitol does not mean that your property taxes are going down, no matter what politicians tell you. And every kid should have books to read at home so that they go to school ready to learn. A unique program pairs those books with a place that every kid has to go. Tonight, we'll help them reach even more children in Colorado, because this is next. The Joker is the MVP, just announced in the last 30 minutes. Nikola Jokic wins his third MVP award in 4 seasons. Only 9 players in NBA history have won it 3 times. Now to the news. Auraria Campus Police have backup from around the metro area right now. Other agencies called in after a botched attempt last week to clear an encampment of pro-Palestinian protesters. A sweep that was so badly bungled that Denver police said they wouldn't do it again. Our Mark Salinger looks at how Auraria Campus Police then called the state for backup.
As police again detained protesters on the Auraria campus last night, different badges from across the state were there. Auraria Police, Colorado State Patrol, Denver Police, and Colorado Rangers Reserve officers. Without them, the small college campus police department likely couldn't handle the pro-Palestinian protesters.
Nothing's going to happen on that campus unless I and the mayor think that it's the right thing to do on that campus.
Denver Police Chief Ron Thomas recognizes that Auraria Police is in charge on the Auraria campus.
You understand me? You got it, jail.
On April 26th, on day 2 of the protests, his officers helped clear the encampment. Auraria Police arrested 38 people. DPD arrested 6. Within hours, the tents were soon replaced, and Auraria Police asked Chief Thomas to help clear them again. He said no.
And I didn't think it was safe, nor did I think it was appropriate to go in and do that again, so I shut it down then.
9 News has learned Auraria Police then went to the state and asked for more officers from other departments. On April 28th, the Auraria Higher Education Center sent a request to the Colorado Office of Emergency Management, asking for additional resources. Officers from Morrison Police, the Colorado Rangers, and Colorado State Patrol are now providing support to the campus police department, but they don't have the power to make arrests.
They don't have the delegated authority by the safety director of Denver to make arrests.
Auraria Police is in charge of calling the shots on campus, but it's also clear they don't have all the power.
They don't have the resources themselves to deal with the problem. I think, they're such a small police department that they can't do anything without the assistance of State Patrol and the Denver Police Department. And so they are really, I think, at our behest, whether they like it or not.
The Auraria Campus Police and Auraria Campus as a whole is in charge of paying for the additional police officers. Not exactly sure how much that's costing. Denver police say they aren't on campus staying all 24/7 to patrol anymore. Other departments brought in to help, like State Patrol, Morrison Police, for example, they are trading off shifts right now.
When we heard Morrison Police, I did a double take because I thought Morrison Police had a very profitable business hiding off of 285 popping speeders.
That might be what they're most known for. And we had that same question. Why is Morrison Police, a town that is nowhere near the Auraria campus, stepping in to help? The answer is the State Office of Emergency Management put out a call to as many departments as they could, or a certain amount of departments, said, who wants to come in and help? Morrison Police raised their hand. They said, we'll be there.
Interesting. Mark Salinger, thank you. Migrants living in a camp near railroad tracks in Central Park got swept this morning, and they moved to a second spot, and the city immediately swept them again. Our Angeline McCall joins us now from Green Valley Ranch. Angeline, you were literally following the migrants as they moved today.
Yeah, 3 locations, in fact, from that original encampment here to this second encampment. And then all of them here, they eventually took that shelter option from the city because the city changed the terms, increased the length of stay that they could stay at a shelter. So this is what's left as of right now. You can see advocates have taken down the tents. There were about, I would say, roughly 40 people here and 20 tents in total when we arrived. Like you mentioned, the original encampment was in Central Park. This is in Green Valley Ranch. And And when we got here and the migrants were already here, police arrived, people were incredibly frustrated to the point that we spoke with one gentleman. He has a family back in Venezuela. He came here to work, and he said that he was at his wit's end and wanted to accept an offer from the city for a bus ticket out of town.
Estamos cansados. Por eso es que tomo la decisión de irme, porque el que busca encuentra. Yo no puedo estar todo el tiempo viviendo en la calle así. Yo tengo familia. No puedo.
Oscar was at the original location, then moved to the second location. Now, afterwards, he changed his mind. He initially wanted the bus ticket. Then the city changed those terms. So in the end, he and everyone else at the second camp decided to take up the offer because for single adults alone, they were able to stay for 7 days versus the initial 3 that they were offered. The term of stay remained the same for families, 30 days. Now, however, we do know that there are additional camps that broke off from that first camp in Central Park, and those folks are still possibly on the street tonight.
Just place to place. And it interrupts their lives. Like, they can't go to work, they can't look for work, they can't work on anything else other than just survival.
So Oscar, the gentleman you heard from, he says he's going to try 7 days. He's going to see how it works out for him. Now, as far as the others, we'll see what happens. Many of them, didn't want to go into shelter because of all of the restrictions and rules when it comes to being in the shelter. And they just say, it's a small amount of time to go back out on the street and do the exact same thing. In fact, one woman that we saw at the original encampment, I saw her back at the Zunai encampment in October. And so she's been living on the street for the better part of 8 months.
Angeline, it's interesting to see the city of Denver walk this tightrope, insisting that it is a welcoming city for migrants, but increasingly saying welcoming only on our terms, and the terms have gotten stricter.
Terms have gotten stricter, and advocates here criticized before the length of stay was increased. They criticized, hearing those bus tickets being offered, because at the end of the day, they felt like it was an opportunity for the city to get people out of town, kind of cat and mouse race, get them from one location to the next, get them frustrated to the point that they'd take a bus ticket. And so, but when the terms changed, the man that we spoke to, he changed his mind about wanting to stay in Denver. And ultimately, another woman we talked to said, you just can't escape them. We don't want to go in a shelter, but if they just find us at the next place, where do we go?
Mm-hmm. Angeline McCall, thank you for your work today. Douglas County High School is moving the location of its graduation ceremony after community concerns that holding it at the Air Force Academy meant that undocumented students and their families could not attend. This issue was first reported by Colorado Public Radio. People entering the Air Force Academy campus have to show an ID, and non-citizens have to bring a passport to a special office days in advance so that they can get a government background check. CPR also reported that students' family members who had a prior felony conviction would not be allowed to come onto the Air Force campus to see their student graduate. Today, Dougco Schools announced without explanation that graduation would be moved to Echo Park Stadium in Parker. Douglas County High School Principal Tony Kappas wrote to families that the scrutiny on their decision to hold it at Air Force Academy was unfortunate. And in announcing the location change, he in no way acknowledged the concern that some of his own students and their families could have been shut out from graduation. There are pediatricians across Colorado who are prescribing books to their young patients, using the doctor visits that every child gets to intervene early, to encourage families to read together so that their kids will enter school prepared. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the nonprofit Reach Out and Read. That nonprofit trains healthcare providers so that they will feel comfortable talking to families about something outside the usual health topics, stressing the importance of reading aloud. It's the best chance for kids to gain the developmental skills that they will need so that they don't enter their school years way behind their classmates. So Reach Out and Read provides books in English, if that's what the family wants, also bilingual books in a wide variety of languages so that parents and caregivers who are more comfortable speaking other languages can still help their kids develop early literacy skills. With each well visit from birth to age 5, kids go home with developmentally appropriate books so that families can build a little library to read together. It's something that a lot of kids have, but no child should be without. The nonprofit does focus on children living in poverty. They worked with more than 300 medical offices around Colorado last year and gave out about 300,000 books. And there are even more medical offices that want to get in on this program, more than they currently have funding for. So you know that's where we come in. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. Just so happens that $5 covers a book and the guidance for a family at the well visit. As always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us started. More than 2,500 of you have now signed up to simplify your giving with a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You donate once, we split it among all the nonprofits we feature. And that's meant that recent microgiving campaigns have started with almost $20,000 in the bank. Use that same QR code or text to get there. Nederland had a unique plan to protect its waterways. Well, that got complicated, and now the town is considering backing out on the deal. And don't believe those headlines saying that your property taxes are going down. They're still going up, just not as much because of the deal struck today. The town of Nederland got headlines here and elsewhere for appointing guardians to advocate for the legal rights of their local waterways. Now Nederland's like, maybe not. Town leaders in Ned voted last night to repeal 2 resolutions granting, quote, rights of nature to the Boulder Creek watershed and appointing guardians to advocate for the environment in discussions about development. The town's mayor says those resolutions were largely meant to be like a public statement, a sign of the town's dedication to the environment. But then, oh damn, as in the town wanted to build a dam on Boulder Creek and they were worried this whole rights of nature thing could get in the way. So there that goes. Nederland's mayor says the repealing of the rights of nature resolutions don't lessen their commitment to protecting the environment, and they'll work with a local sustainability board to guide future development. Life's full of surprises, Lauren Robinson. Like, we want to build a dam on the creek, and all of a sudden we gave the creek legal rights, and sometimes the weather's a surprise as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're not surprised by the cooler, wet weather that'll be pushing its way in for tomorrow. Right now we have a live look over downtown Denver. That cloud cover slowly creeping in. Temperatures pretty mild, though. 58 degrees right now at DIA, roughly around 10 degrees cooler than our seasonal high for this time of year. But those winds have started to finally calm down as well, now coming down from the north at just 7 miles per hour. Now, the system off to our north and northwest is what's going to continue to push its way into Colorado. We have been monitoring some very light flurries west of Fort Collins near Red Feather Lakes into Walden. Those will continue to dry up as we go into the overnight hours. So we're going to be pretty dry. That cloud cover is going to build in, and we're going to see mild lows overnight tonight. Most of us in the 30s and 40s across the Front Range and Eastern Plains. We're going to see lows in the 20s and 30s in the high country, 30s and 40s across the western slope. Now tomorrow, a weak cool front is going to come in. It's going to drop our temperatures, and it's going to bring us scattered rain showers as well. So tomorrow afternoon, highs will be maxing out near 53 degrees at DIA. Most of the Front Range will be in the 50s, a little cooler in the Springs. The Eastern Plains will actually stay pretty dry throughout the day tomorrow, so these temperatures will be allowed to rise into the 60s. But then in the high country, we're looking for 30s, 40s, 50s with some scattered snow showers there, 60s across the western slope. So for tomorrow, we're looking for those scattered rain showers across the Front Range, some light snow showers up in the mountains. That sticks around for Friday with these temperatures maxing out in the 50s. But for Mother's Day weekend, more seasonal temperatures in the upper 60s. We're going to look for chances for those afternoon spotty storms.
The so-called tax relief bill that passed at the Capitol today means your property tax bill is about to get a lot more confusing. Some straight talk on an issue getting a lot of political spin. Next. You're going to hear politicians tell you that they cut your property taxes, and you will know better because you heard politics guy Marshall Zellinger break down a complex plan that doesn't lower property taxes, it just reduces the size of the property tax hike you'll get in the future.
Good news! The math to figure out your home's property tax bill next year will essentially be the same as this year. You get $55,000 off your home's value tax-free, then it's multiplied by the 6.7% assessment rate to determine your home's taxable value. For this Adams County home in Thornton, their property tax dollars go to the city, the county, the school district, and several special districts. That's where the simplicity of property taxes, if you think this is simple, ends. In 2026, the math to figure out your property tax bill is, well, hard. State lawmakers have split the math. There's going to be one equation to fund your local school district and another equation to fund the local governments, all the entities on this example except for the school district. You'll notice you don't get a tax-free portion of your home in 2026, which is also a year your home gets reassessed, so your home's value is likely higher. Then the following year, the math for school districts stays the same, but the math for local governments changes because you get some of your home's value tax-free, but the assessment rate increases from the previous year. Changes that are mind-numbing when you see them all at once, let alone if you're an assessor like Keith Erfmeyer.
Different assessment rates for the same property, and that's something that we've never done before in Colorado. So we need time to work with our vendors, our software, to modify those.
Everything on this graphic and all the work the assessors would need to do would go away if voters say yes to a November ballot issue that would limit property tax growth significantly more. So while lawmakers have a compromise to limit the increase of your next property tax bills, it is still pending the results of what may or may not happen in November. The too long didn't read version, your property tax bills will continue to go up, even with the funny math, just not as much as if lawmakers did nothing.
You were talking residential. How about commercial?
Yeah, they're finally going to win in this. If this makes it and not the ballot issue, well, I guess they win both ways. But if this makes it, commercial property owners over the next 2 years will see their math equation benefit them more than it has in the past.
I cannot wait. Oh, hey, what have you got for me? I actually cannot wait for you to do all the explainers on the ads that are somewhat misleading. What is this? Am I being served with a lawsuit? No, not again. It's feedback this time. The nonprofit Reach Out and Read uses a unique idea to deal with a tricky problem in Colorado. Kids who come into the school system without having the early literacy skills that come from years of being read to at home. So the nonprofit has trained pediatricians on how exactly to talk to families about reading and then gives those pediatricians books to prescribe to the kids. Reach Out and Read offers a developmentally appropriate book to kids from birth to age 5 at more than 300 medical offices across Colorado, focusing in high-poverty areas. And there are more medical offices that want in on the program. To join me in supporting the work of Reach Out and Read, scan that QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. New feedback tonight from Jeff in Brighton. That Jeff in Brighton. Same guy whose feedback last night deserved a special response. Here it is in case you missed it. Feedback tonight from a less than satisfied next viewer. An Instagram comment from Jeff in Brighton.
Jeff writes, if bull was music, you'd be a brass band.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Jeff, Denver's own Gorilla Fanfare. So Jeff from Brighton saw that and wrote on Instagram. That was a pretty good response, Kyle. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jeff. But then Jake wrote in to say, Tool? Jake, bud, I need you to be more specific than that now that we're bringing bands on the show. I'm a Tool. You want Tool to play on Next? I think they're on tour right now. I don't know. Maybe we got some Tool in the music library. You got to be more specific, Jake. I'll take your requests if you tell me. See you next time.